Yep. Good evening, everyone. So last session we started discussing about Node.js and we learned about some important features. So what is the purpose of what is Node.js? Its purpose we discussed, and we learned about features of Node.js. We discussed about before this what is server-side scripting. Server-side scripting. We have client-side scripting and server-side scripting. So what is the purpose of server-side scripting and what are different server-side scripting technologies? We discussed about that. So what is server-side scripting purpose? Generating a response for the client request. And how Node.js is different from other technologies. What are its features? We learned about the features. Right? So some important features already we discussed. And some limitations also. The key features are modular, single-threaded, asynchronous, no buffering, like important features we learned about it. So now today we will see how to implement Node.js and use in our projects. How to build a Node.js server-side application we are going to learn. And here to work with Node.js, you must have some Node JavaScript related concepts also very strong. Some JavaScript related topics also we have to discuss here. Already you may learn in complete JavaScript while learning JavaScript, but here because Node.js is using JavaScript server side, we need to learn some points, some additional concepts will come, some little advanced options that currently we are using also we will discuss. So you are going to use JavaScript as a language for Node.js. So for that you need to have proper knowledge of JavaScript related some concepts which I will explain here. Then we can start working with it. So first today we need to learn how to build a server-side application to practice server-side JavaScript. So same like how you build client-side application, server-side application also we will build. But first level, we will build a server-side application for practicing server-side script. After practicing, we will build a complete app. So complete application, how to build server-side, we will learn. Because you have to build with combination of Node.js, Express.js in the backend. So we will see. So to practice Node.js, you need a server-side application. Let's create a small server-side application. So I am today showing you how to build. So server-side, we'll say setup server-side Node application. But this is first for practicing Node. After that, we will build complete application. We have to set up server-side Node application. First thing for that, in your computer, you have to make sure that you installed Node.js. I hope already have installed Node.js everyone, because we are using package manager na npm. So Node.js is already there in your computers. You are using Node.js as JavaScript runtime for your front-end application also. You are using npm na. npm is what? Node package manager for installing libraries for any project. Everything we are doing with that. So what we need to do is, so traditionally points I will give. Points are nothing but install Node.js on your PC, which already you have. You need to set up and install Node.js on your PC. And what is the editor you are going to use? VS Code. Install VS Code editor. Already you people have it. Traditionally just points I am giving. So install Node.js and you install VS Code editor. I don't need to explain what is editor and all this. We learned already, you know. Node.js also you already have, but just key points I need to give here. Okay, once you install Node.js and VS Code, Node.js is here. This is nodejs.org. This is the official Node.js website. You can install Node.js by downloading Node.js from here, right? I will copy this. This is the URL actually. Yeah. VS Code editor you already have. Like, and once you install this, you need to create a project, a server-side application. So what you have to do, add a new folder for a server-side application. Add a new folder for server-side application, and in your computer you can add anywhere you want. Suppose in D, in E, anywhere. You create a new folder for your server-side application. In my computer already I have some D, then I will use E or some other drive. Huh? Okay, so this I think already I am having this. EF, all everywhere it is there. Okay, I will delete. In my computer, because I am having in so many locations, I will choose my F drive. In my computer, I am choosing F drive. You can choose any, doesn't matter. Okay. Now, what I will do, go to the computers, PC location. I am selecting my F drive, create a new folder, and what is it? Server app. Server app is the new folder. That is the folder we created. Okay. Next, once we created the folder, now open folder in VS Code. Project folder, right, in VS Code. You have to open project folder in VS Code. Now open your Visual Studio Code editor and open the folder that you have. File, open folder. It is in F. We have a server app and the folder is empty. We don't have anything here. It is an empty folder. Now how to set up like a project? How do we set up the basic environment? What you have to do, open terminal and run the following command. You have to open terminal and run the command. And you know the initial command. What you have to do? npm init y. What it does? So what this command does, it generates package.json. What package JSON contains? Package JSON contains project metadata, project related metadata. Metadata means information about your application. Which application you are using, which version you are using, what libraries you are using in application, what is their version. So all such information is present in which file? Package JSON. They are present in package JSON. Project related complete metadata is defined in package JSON. So what you have to do is you need to open the terminal and run the command npm init and flag y. You already know the flag y, because if you don't use the flag y, it will ask you some series of questions like what is your project name, what is your module system, dependencies, everything. You can ignore that because we will add the settings according to our requirement later. We don't need all settings by default. So Y indicates yes for every question it is going to ask. So simply this will generate a package JSON. So package JSON is ready. Our package JSON is ready. Okay. Now this package JSON is having all the project related metadata. And this is not final. In this, lot of things will be added later. We can add so many things later inside it. So we need first just package JSON. Okay. After that, we are planning to use JavaScript server side. If you are planning to use JavaScript server side, what is the key point is JavaScript server side when you are writing, then you need to follow some standards. In real world projects, you cannot simply write JavaScript with whatever techniques you learned in your classrooms, in different classes, from different faculties, from different sources, you learned JavaScript. All those techniques you cannot implement directly in a project. That will lead to a lot of inconsistency. That means you learned JavaScript from one person, another people learned from another person. He have his own ideas of telling you about JavaScript, some concepts of JavaScript, some shortcut coding techniques of JavaScript. You may follow the same here. Then how a company manages all these people with different ideas? Obviously, they are not selecting all from one place. In a project, 10 people are working, 10 are coming from different sources. They learn technology from different places, but they work similar. They should work with same rules, same standards they have to follow. So generally, JavaScript rules, JavaScript standards are set. In every programming, we have programming rules and standards which are set by a software called Code Analyzer. Java, .NET, C++, everywhere code analyzing softwares are used. That means Java projects, .NET projects, or different other technology projects, all they use Code Analyzer. What those Code Analyzer will do is they will verify how developer is writing his code. They will warn the developer if he is not following correct standards. That means he may put his own ideas because he learned those ideas while learning a technology. Those ideas are not good for real time. Then it will warn him saying that please don't try this. And for that we need code analyzers. We need code analyzers. And JavaScript code analyzer is JavaScript have a code analyzer called ESLint. ESLint is a JavaScript code analyzer. JavaScript, wherever it is used in any technology, this code analyzer plays the key role. In real-time development process, wherever you are using JavaScript, you have to keep this. Actually, you may not learn that while learning HTML JavaScript because not required at that level. Because you still don't know JavaScript, then why to know rules about it immediately? Later, after you learn JavaScript, then you can understand rules, standards, and everything. So ESLint is language analysis tool for JavaScript. So this tool is required while working with JavaScript. So what we have to do is here, you see the official website eslint.org. This is the official website of that. eslint.org is the official website. And it is used for finding and fixing problems in your JavaScript code. What it does, it syntactically analyzes. I will copy this. Yeah. It syntactically analyzes your code. Find the problems in your code. And is built into most text editors, means it is available in your all editors like VS Code. They are enabled with that editors, and other editors also available. And I think latest version is coming on 7 March. Some new version is coming. Current latest is this one. 22 is coming on. It's okay. We can start using this version which we have. And you see here, what is this purpose of code analyzer means? Remember, it is not checking for just errors. It is checking for coding standards. It is not just errors. It is for coding standards. You already learned about coding standards while learning some programming language. Suppose while learning HTML also, I hope you people learned some coding standards, how to follow, styling, CSS, HTML, rules you learned while learning them. Suppose if you remembered in HTML, you learned about link element. And you learned the rule about the link element. What is the rule? Suppose you are linking a style sheet. Then link relation is equal to style sheet. But actually link MIME type is defined as text slash what? CSS. Now you already learned that when you are using relation style sheet, this is not required. But this is required when you are writing what? Style. When you are writing style, type text slash CSS is mandatory. But when you are writing link, this is not required. Even if you link, you write doesn't matter, but this is not according to standards. It is not recommended. So many, you remembered, you learned rules about, suppose you created an ordered list. When you created ordered list can have a list item. Inside the list item, I want a nested list. Then usually what people can do, parent, after the parent list item close, and under this they can add child list. But this is wrong. Why it is wrong? According to the standards, always this child must be inside Li, not below Li. But in the output, it will not show any difference. In the output, it will show under the L. But according to standards, you need to keep inside, not below. These are all some programming rules, and you already learned when you write a if condition. Condition, you can write a statement true and you can write else statement false. This is also not good. Why? Because actually this works, but that is not good. Why? Because every if contains a block. Block is compulsory. And many times programming people will teach you that without block also it will work. But according to standards, it is wrong. According to the standards, you should not write like that. These are all programming standards. Java, .NET, and other technology people follow these standards from a website, from a tool PMD. You know PMD? PMD is a code analyzing tool. When you go to this PMD, in the documentation, you will find PMD documentation contains rule reference. You see HTML rules, Java rules, JavaScript rules, all are present. When you open this Java rules, JavaScript rules, anything, and you can see the code best practices, they will give you the code practices, and observe carefully here code styles. When I go here, you see they will show like this. They say that this is okay and this is bad. What is difference in these two? Here we are using a block to start and end. Here we are not using block. And majority people learn like this. So, but it is not according to standards. What is the good standards? Always you need to use a block. Right? So this is bad and this is what? Okay. So programming standards we need to follow. And for that, JavaScript, when you are using programming standards, the JavaScript rules are defined by using ES. So what you have to do after setting up the package manager, next step, set up language analysis tool, ESLint. Set up language analysis tool, that is ESLint for JavaScript projects, for JavaScript project. ESLint for JavaScript project. Actually, you have to run like this. This is the command. npm init @eslint /config @latest. Latest will get the latest version and install. @latest is optional, not required every time. So this is a language analysis tool. And when you run this, so many questions it will ask now. You need to answer these questions. Let's see what questions it will ask. So what we need to answer here. Okay, let's check this here now. So what you have to do is go to the language analysis, go to your Visual Studio Code, open the terminal, and here run the command. Okay, I will run this command. This is the command npm init @eslint config. Okay, this latest is optional. Even you don't give, it's okay. but sometimes very latest version is released and old version may be installed. So alternate what latest is required. It's optional. You can enter. Now it will start asking you some questions. It says that you need to install following package. Which package? ESLint create config. Okay. You have to proceed with Y. You need to proceed with Y. So here the questions will be asked. What is the first question? Install so ESLint config package. So ESLint config package. So here you have to choose what? Yes. You have to just enter Y, right? So it is asking, do you want to install? Proceed Y. And enter, that is the in package. Okay, now it is asking, how would you like to use ESLint? It is asking second question, how would you like to use ESLint? That means what is the purpose? How you want to use this ESLint? Here you have to choose how you want. How would you like to use ESLint? You see, it is asking to check syntax only or to check and find problems. That means you have to select which option. You have to select this option. What is it? To check syntax and find problems. There are two options, only to check syntax or to find problems. What is this syntax and problems? Problem means it's not just only syntax. Your coding style also wrong. You are writing in a wrong technique. Your coding technique is wrong. Your coding approach is wrong. Then it will find out and it will report. So find problems means not finding the errors. It is about finding the coding issues. If your code is not correctly written according to the standards, then it will report. It will warn you. It will give you warning errors related to that. So you need to select the second one. Okay. So see now, it is asking to check syntax only or to check syntax and find problems. You can use up and down arrow to switch between them. Down arrow, that is the second one, and hit enter. Okay, next, which type of JavaScript modules you want to use? What type of modules does your project use? This is important, which I will explain after creating the project. After creating the project, we will discuss this point. What type of module does your project use? What is a module? What type of modules are required? How to use these modules? We will discuss. Actually, in JavaScript OOP concept, you will have a module system. When you learn JavaScript OOP concepts, this will come. I will explain here one more. Here I will explain what is OOP, what are module systems, how to handle them. That is important when you are using server side. So what type of modules does your project use? Actually, Node.js uses CommonJS. CommonJS as module system. What is this CommonJS? What others we are having? What is the purpose of them? How to use them? You are going to learn. We are going to see that. So what type of modules does your project use? Our project is going to use this module. Actually, in JavaScript, people learn this module. In JavaScript OOP concepts, you already know about module concept. Here, little more detail and depth is required to understand, because here you have to work every day with this module system. Okay. So you see here it is asking JavaScript modules. It is asking common JS modules and it is asking none. I will use common JS. This is common JS module system. JavaScript modules are used default when you are using JavaScript in browser. When you are using in browser, by default that JavaScript modules will work. Currently we are not using in browser, we are using server side, so common JS. You have to select common JS. Okay, enter. Next it is asking which framework does your project use. You want to use this JavaScript for any front-end framework like React or Vue. We don't want any of this. So select none of this. Why? Because we will use it for normal JavaScript and jQuery. Here I will teach you after the backend concept is finished. We will learn project. When we learn project in the front end, we will learn about Sass. We will learn about jQuery. So you will learn about Sass and jQuery, and then you will learn how to build a project with JavaScript, jQuery and Sass. All these you will use and you will learn how to do, right? So as of now, we are not using React, we are not using Vue, we will use our normal JavaScript for front end. Not JavaScript, we will use jQuery, but I will teach you jQuery here. We have to learn some points about jQuery. Actually, in your course contents, they don't mention about jQuery, but these days for a software developer, without jQuery, you cannot be a developer in a real-time environment, right? Because actually senior developer means mandatory knowledge is jQuery. You are learning JavaScript, but you know you never use JavaScript in any project. You will learn JavaScript for so many days, detailedly about everything. But do you know you will never use JavaScript directly in any project? Any front-end application, you will never use JavaScript. Either you will use jQuery or Angular or React or Vue or so many other frameworks are there, libraries are there like Backbone JS, Ember JS, Knockout JS, like that. Direct JavaScript, never. We will not use any direct JavaScript in any front-end application. But your interview will be on JavaScript. But you will never use JavaScript directly in projects. So we are going to learn about jQuery, and of course in your front end you will learn React.js also. In your UI full stack course you will learn React.js also. So currently which framework our project is using? Nothing. So we will leave it. That means which framework your project is using. So this is the next question. Which framework does the project use? Here you select as none of these. You select as none of these. Which framework does your project use? None of these means not React, not Vue, anything. So none of these. Okay. Now here, when you are selecting this none of these and enter. Okay. Does your project use TypeScript? No, our project is not using TypeScript, because if our project uses TypeScript, it have to install TypeScript also. So this TypeScript will translate everything into JavaScript. So we are not using TypeScript. We will use TypeScript in React. In React, you are going to learn. So when you learn React.js, in React.js, you will learn about TypeScript. You will have separate concept of TypeScript there. So this project is not using TypeScript. So TypeScript is used in projects, but it is not mandatory. It is optional. But these days, a developer should know both. Should know about JavaScript as well as TypeScript. TypeScript we will not learn here. In React.js sessions, you will learn about TypeScript, detailedly TypeScript language. Okay. Now here, next step. So no, I selected no. Does your project use TypeScript? No. I'm saying no. Enter. Next step. Where does your code run? This is very important. Where does your code run? This is important. Where does your code run means, will you run in browser or you will run in just server side? You can run in browser and you can run server side. Now what is difference? A lot of difference is there because you learned JavaScript definition. Hmm? So you learned JavaScript definition, right? If anybody asked what is JavaScript, so what is the definition? JavaScript definition. How you define JavaScript? In the beginning of JavaScript, I given you definition of JavaScript. You know, JavaScript is lightweight, interpreted and JIT compiled programming language. That is the official definition. JavaScript is lightweight, interpreted and JIT compiled programming language. That is the official basic definition of JavaScript. You should not say JavaScript is a client-side script, or you should not say JavaScript is a server-side script. You should say JavaScript is a language. When you started JavaScript, so this is the definition. First you learn about JavaScript. JavaScript is lightweight, interpreted and JIT compiled programming language. And in the beginning you understood the difference also. Means this, what is the meaning of this line? I hope you learned. Everybody knows what is lightweight means. Lightweight means it occupies less memory. What is interpreted means it can translate line by line. Compiled means it can translate all lines at a time. And again you learned that compiled can be two types of compiling. What is two types of compiling? AOT compiling and JIT compiling. What is AOT compiling? Ahead of time. What is JIT compiling? Just in time. You learned about this in the beginning itself about JavaScript. Because this is the official definition of JavaScript given by the people who built JavaScript. Right? So according to MDN, Mozilla Developers Network, MDN JavaScript, according to MDN, this is MDN. MDN is maintained by whom? By Brendan Eich. Brendan Eich is who? The inventor of JavaScript. According to them, what is JavaScript? It is an lightweight, interpreted or JIT compiled programming language. That is the official definition of JavaScript. And official definition, remember MDN is maintained by whom? Brendan Eich, who is the inventor of JavaScript. This is his community. We get correct details about HTML, CSS, JavaScript from two people. For HTML related help is provided by WG, because these people are developing HTML. JavaScript and CSS related HTML documents you will get from MDN, Mozilla Developers Network. And this is the official definition, how you define JavaScript. Now the point is, you already learned what is AOT means. What is JIT and AOT difference in the beginning of JavaScript? I explained you. What is it? JIT means just in time already I given there. JIT means what? The program is when you request a program, the program is loaded into browser and it will compiled in browser. That mechanism is called as what? JIT. AOT means ahead of time. AOT means already program is compiled and ready. It will just load when you call. That means if program is already compiled and it is ready, you just call it, it will run. Then it is which technique? AOT. JIT means it will not compile until or unless you call. You call it, then it will compile and it will execute. Then this is called as JIT, just in time. AOT is ahead of time. All JavaScript technologies earlier they were using JIT. Latest recently they changed it to AOT mechanism. That is the reason official website still says about JIT only. They will not mention about AOT. But React, Angular and other technologies in the world which are using JavaScript, they are not following JIT anymore. They are following AOT. AOT is what? Ahead of time. That means when you request, it can run in browser, it can compile in browser. Before you request, it is already compiled. It will just run. AOT is faster than JIT. It is faster than that. So these days all technologies are using AOT technique. So now the point is here it is asking where you want to run your code, in the browser or in the node itself. Not in browser because that you are already doing with HTML. With HTML you can use here, you see, you can select space and you select A to toggle all. You can select A to toggle all. That means A means it will select both of them. You can use, so space, you can select only one. Up arrow, down arrow, it will move. See, up arrow means it comes to browser. You want to select it, space. You want to deselect it, again space. You want to deselect node, space. It is deselected. You select with space both of them. That means I want in browser and I want in node. You can select these two. You can select these two because we will see both. In browser also we will test it. In node also we will test it. So, but browser is not first priority for us now because we are learning server side. Our first priority is what? Node. But I will select both of them because in future if you want, you can add if you want, right? No problem. But we are where you want to run the code. So here what you have to do, select browser and node. You can select both of them. Now remember, if you are selecting browser, then your code is compiled in the browser itself by using interpreter. Interpreter is a translator, line by line translator. You know, every browser have a JavaScript interpreter now. It will use it. If you select node, you need a compiler. If you select node, you need a compiler. And actually, JavaScript uses, means Node.js uses a compiler called V8. JavaScript have compilers like V8 and Babel. Babel, V8 are popular compilers of JavaScript. JavaScript code is compiled outside browser by using these tools. We have V8 compiler, another we have Babel. Node by default built with V8. V8 is actually Google Chrome compiler. It is Google Chrome compiler. JavaScript is compiled inside browser by using a JavaScript interpreter. You learned in the beginning about browser architecture, na? You learned about HTML browser architecture, how browser works. What are the components in browser? You learned browser architecture in the beginning of HTML, right? What are the components of browser? Browser have a UI, browser have rendering engine, browser have a browser engine, browser have a JavaScript interpreter. You learn this architecture now. When you learned about JavaScript, you learned about HTML. This is the browser architecture, right? You learned about how your browser works. You know about all these, right? User interface, browser engine, rendering engine, JavaScript interpreter, what networking will do. Inside the browser, JavaScript is translated by using browser engine. This is the, JavaScript is translated by whom? JavaScript interpreter. HTML, CSS translated by browser engine, right? You learnt about this in the beginning of HTML itself because we know browsers, how they work. So when you are using Node, so detail about these concepts, next level also I will explain. As of now, you select these two. Okay, after selecting that, hit enter. Fine. Next, it is asking, would you like to install ESLint globals, ESLint JS? Yes, I want to install all this here. So would you like to install? This is another question. Another question is actually like, it will ask, would you like to install which one? ESLint, global, etc. All this. You say yes. Yes, yes to install. You need to set up these two. Would you like to install ESLint global now and all? You say yes. When you say yes and enter, it is done. Next, it is asking which package manager you want to use. Already you have a package manager, na? Which one? Which package manager you like to use? What is it? NPM. NPM is our node package manager. We are already using. Why you need package manager? For installing, updating, removing libraries from project. In a project, how you install libraries, how you update libraries, how do you uninstall libraries? By using one package manager. And already we have this package manager that comes with Node.js when you install. Which package manager? NPM. You need to select NPM as package manager. Okay. Next step, once you do NPM package manager, hit enter. Here I am selecting this NPM. In the beginning itself, you learned there are so many package managers like NPM, Yarn, Bower, RubyGems, Composer, NuGet, so many, right? NPM, enter. It is installing all the package required for you. And it is setting up everything for you. And you see it successfully created a file called eslint config mjs. eslint config mjs. And you can see that everything is finished now. And you go to eslint config mjs, it is having some default options. And observe carefully here, you don't need to worry about this. And you see which module system it is using. CommonJS is the module system it is using. Some changes happened in your package JSON also. In package JSON also, some dependencies are updated and they are defined. But actually configuration is present here. This is the configuration. We have a lot of options more. We can define more options here. And you can see These are the files automatically generated and it will install all required. You see automatically node modules will come. You already know this. I don't need to explain what is node modules now. Bootstrap icons. You have worked with lot of third parties. All third party libraries that you install using npm all are copied into which location? Node modules. So this is going to generate these files. So after setting up all this, next point, it will install all supported libraries and generates configuration file, and that file is MJS. MJS is related to modules. So all supported library files are copied into node modules folder. They are all copied into node modules folder. These are all the configurations you need to define. So this is the basic setup that we have created. And actually server-side web application means several more concepts will come. This is just to practice some server-side scripting. After you finish practicing, you will build more interactions. You will build more interface. Like here also you will have public src and all these folders we will keep. We will keep our HTML pages in front end, back end we will have an application. So many things we will do here. But initially, this is the basic infrastructure. This is ready. That means to start practicing some server-side programming. Here, one important point again is now in this installation, you will come across with some key concepts like C. So what type of modules does this one you understood, and this one also you understood. You are installing ESLint for which purpose? We are installing ESLint for checking the syntax and finding the problems. Now what type of modules your project uses? This is important, right? So here you need to first understand the concept of module systems. You need to understand the concept of module systems. Right. So here, to understand module system, from basic you need to learn so many points also. Actually, what is the first concept you need to know is, in a software programming, whenever you are learning programming technologies, you are learning different programming technologies, you should know about one small hierarchy. In software technologies, you will come across with language, library, and framework. In software programming, you will come across with these three important concepts, and every software developer should know what are they, right? Because as a professional software engineer means he must have knowledge of all these three. Any software engineer, any technology, he must have these three knowledge. That means you cannot call yourself as a software engineer without the knowledge of these three in any technology. Java people have to know language, library, and frameworks. .NET people have to know. PHP, Python people have to know. Every technology, UI, full stack, every technology people have to know about these three. So a software developer's career will be with these three. His entire work will be in these three: language, library, and framework. Every technology requires that. For example, Java people, when you ask for Java course, they will learn Java as language. They will learn some libraries in Java. Different libraries will be there. Reflection, API libraries, so many libraries are present. File stream libraries, IO stream libraries, so many different multi-threading libraries, so many will be there. Collection libraries, they will learn about libraries. They learn about frameworks. Frameworks means Spring, microservices, Spring Boot. So many frameworks are there. Hibernate, all these are the frameworks. If you go for a search of JavaScript developer in any company, they expect all these three from you. In genuine professional interviews, they ask, okay, you belong to this technology, then in this technology, what language you learned, what libraries you know, what frameworks you have learned. If anyone is missing, they will not be satisfied with your skills. Many people have a complaint saying that I finished my technology and I am uploading my resume in Naukri, but calls are not coming, because you have to make sure that in your resume you mention these three. If anyone is missing, then they are not satisfied as a developer. That means those skills are not enough as a developer. Every software developer resume must mention about language, library, and framework. These three are important terms we search for a developer. We search for a developer. For a developer, we search for these three things. If anyone is missing, we ignore them. Actually, in interviews, we have to do this. See, resume, how we design and build, last I will explain. Means at the last of our course, at the end of our course, I will give you a complete idea of how to build resume for a fresher and an experience. We will learn about that. How to put the skill sets, what skill sets need to be kept to make the resume professional. Right? We will learn, because that is the main concept. If resume is not proper, you will not get calls. If resume is not properly designed, you will not get calls. Even you have good skills, your resume plays the key role in getting an interview call. That's important. So language, library, framework are required everywhere. For example, if anybody is learning Python like technology, they have to learn Python as language. Python, some libraries are there. They have to learn Python frameworks like Django, Flask, Grok. These are all Python libraries. .NET, Java, UI full stack, everywhere these will come in. So language, library, and framework. What is the point? What is difference between these? What is purpose actually? What is the purpose of actually language? The purpose of language is nothing but a language is required. Remember, these three are required for application. That means language, what language will does? Language handles the communication. A language handles the communication in an application. A language handles the communication in an application. So, in an application, the communication is managed by language. What a library does, what a library does. So usually what library is going to do is, communication is done by language. Library is going to simplify the communication. It is going to simplify the communication with built-in features. That means language will communicate, but library will make the communication simple by having some built-in features, ready-made. For every purpose, everything, no need to detailedly write. Already they're written, you just use them. Library provides some predefined built-in features which you can use and you can build the application. So to build the application, you need these two things. What are those? Language and library. But remember, after building application will not start. Application will not run. You built an application, but application will not start. You have to tell where to start, when to start, from where it has to pick the data, where it has to show the data. We need to control the application flow. Language and library can build application, but they cannot control the application flow. That is done by whom? Framework. A framework is a collection of libraries, but the concept of framework, it is to control the application flow. Control the application flow. That means from where to get the data, where to show the data, so how to communicate the entire flow of application, how application have to get it request, how it should send its response. Everything is managed by what? Framework. Everything is managed by framework. That is the reason you are learning Node.js. Only Node.js is not good enough for communication. It cannot control the application flow. For that, you have to learn a framework called Express.js. Java people see, if anybody Java, .NET, PHP, Python learner goes for a job interview, first question they will ask, what frameworks you know? If you haven't learned any framework, then not eligible as a software developer. Because Python will teach you how to communicate, but it cannot control the flow. Java will teach you how to communicate, but it cannot control the flow. C#, .NET, all these, they control the flow. They cannot control the flow. They can build an application. To control the flow, they need frameworks. So a framework is responsible for, it can do two things. What it can do? It can allow build the application and control application flow. Control application flow. Application is controlled by using framework. So every software application needs frameworks. Framework is compulsory. Front end also, back end also, you need frameworks. Frameworks are important. Later, when you learn Angular, React, you will learn about those points more detailedly also. Because front end you will learn React, or front end you will learn Angular. Then they will tell you that we are a library, we are a framework, we are doing this, we are doing that. So technically, remember this concept. Suppose you are learning React.js. React.js is a library. If you learned React.js, then immediately your interviewer will ask like, Okay, with React.js, do you have any idea of any framework also? You have any idea of any framework? Usually for experience. For a fresher, they don't ask all that. Just knowledge of React itself is enough for them. But for experienced people, they expect an experienced developer to have knowledge of three. What are those? Language, library, and framework. So what is language purpose? It's build the application. Library and language can build application, but they cannot control the application flow. To control application flow, you need what? Framework. A framework is responsible for controlling the application flow. Building the application, controlling the application flow is very important. And that is done by using what? Framework. So much you have to learn about technology. So if you don't know all these, then you cannot understand the environment of a project, right? For that, we need to learn so many things. So generally, we have language and we have library and we have framework. I hope you understood the difference, na? Language and libraries are used for building application and framework is to control the application flow. Technically more definition is there. I will not go into that now. Later when we learn framework, I will explain about them, right? Because you will learn Express.js as a framework. Then I will explain what is the framework concept. So language, library, and frameworks. So now why we discussed this concept? Because application is built only using this. Application is built by using this language and library. Actually, in language means in the language and libraries, what happens is, suppose, so the library that you are using, libraries, we have the libraries are legacy type libraries, modular libraries will be there. In any project, when you are using libraries are two types, legacy and modular. Two types of libraries are present. Legacy and modular are the libraries. What is the point about legacy means? Legacy means it actually how library is built. It again a lengthy process. So for example, suppose we are having some values and we are having some functions. A set of values and functions together means a set of values and functions. We can keep this set of values and functions we can keep in a factory. We usually have a term called factory. A factory contains what? A factory contains a set of values and functions. Like that, you will have several factories. You will have several factories. Multiple factories are present. For different purpose, different factories are used. For example, you have learnt JavaScript string. String is a string factory. In that string factory, string methods are present. String methods are like index of, last index of, slice, splice, all these are string methods. No? Slice, char at, char coded, substring. These are all string methods. You learned about array. Array factory. Array factory contains array methods like what? Push, pop, shift, unshift, sort, reverse. All these array factory. You learned date factory. Contains date methods like toString, toLocal date string, get hours, get minutes, set minutes. Am I right? That means a factory contains collection of related type of functions. Related, you learned math factory. Math contains pi, sqrt, power. Am I right? That means an application is built with so many factories. Now we can directly use these factories. Instead of using the factories, these factories are kept in These factories are kept in, a set of factories are kept in a service. A set of factories are kept in a service. A service contains collection of factories. That means you are building one application. You are building one application. Now in this application, you want to use these values. You are building an application in that you want to use these values. You will not directly use these values. You will not directly use these values. What you will do? You will use a service. You inject that service and use it. So service contains collection of factories. Factory contains collection of values. In an application, we want to use them. Then we have to use these service factories and all. Now the point is, the concept about legacy and modular is, suppose I want to use, we have two options. I will have some math factory. I will have some string factory. Two factories are present. Now, string factory have string functions, math factory have math functions. Now, in string factory, there are string functions. How many string functions are there? For example, more than 15, 20 string functions are there. It is having 15, 20 string functions. So here I am writing a string and I want to slice the string. Then which factory I have to import? I need a slice from these 15 functions. There is a function called slice. Then I have to use that slice in my application. Which factory I have to import? String factory I have to import. Seriously, you will import one entire factory of 15 functions to use only one function? Question understood? Will you import a factory of 15 functions to use only one? Is it not burden for application? Is it not loading unnecessary into memory? You are loading 15 functions, but you are using only one. Then is there any possibility that I can load only one function that I need from a factory? It is possible. It is possible through modular approach. It is possible through modular approach. You can import only one function from a factory. Understood? So legacy means you have to import everything, but you are using only one. You are using only two. That is legacy. That doesn't look good. Modular means it imports only what is needed for your situation. Means actually in your JavaScript, this you will see in a OOP concept, you will understand this point. So here also, because we are using JavaScript server side, I will show a practical example actually. Means just observe. We have index.html page. This is a HTML page. You have a button. This button is having like some calculate, something. Or this button is having addition. Okay, some addition is there. Now what I am doing here is, observe, I am adding a file called index.js. It's a JavaScript file. In this file, we have a function called multiply, and it will take a comma b and it returns a into b. Okay, we have a function called addition and a comma b and returns a plus b. And you have a function subtraction and a comma b and it return a minus b. You have three functions in one JavaScript file. And I want to use on button click, on click, add click. I want addition function to work here. Then what generally people do? They link the script file. What is the file? What is the file? Script src is what? It is index dot what? index.js. And after that, we will write a script function which add click. In index.js, there is a function called which function? Addition. I want to use that function. That means we have to call the function addition. Am I right? Addition function, and into that I need to pass two values. Suppose 10, 20. I will pass those two values and I will print this here. Document.write. I will print something like addition is equal to whatever this we return. I will put that here. So I will put that here. Generally, this is your general JavaScript. What happens now when I run this? You see the addition function is working fine. The addition function is coming from which file? Index.js. In that, how many functions are there? 3 functions are there. You are linking 3 functions to use only one. This is bad. But all these days you learn JavaScript like this only. That is not good. This is legacy. That means 100 functions. One file contains 100 functions. You are importing entire file to use only 1 or 2. That's not good. This is called as what? Legacy. This is called legacy. Then what is solution? Solution is you can import only what you want and you can use only that. That is called modular. Modular means you can import only what you want and you can use only what you want. That means, see now, I will achieve the same with a modular approach. In a modular approach means I will remove this. This add button is also not working, right? There is nothing defined here. Now, these functions I must use in another location. Then you have to mark them as what? Export. You have to mark them as export. You have to mark them as export. Now what we have to do is, in the script, we have to write script. This time script type is module. Here we have to import which one? Addition. Addition from where? Index slash index what? JS. It is not importing all functions, only one. You are not linking the file. You are just importing only one function from the file. Which function you are importing? Addition. Now, what we do is document.querySelector button. For this button, we will add event listener. We will add a event. Event is what? Click. On that event, we will write a functionality. Don't worry what I am writing, just observe. That is, so here we are writing, what is it? Document.write. What is it? Addition. Addition is equal to, we have to use which function? Addition. Into that some 40, 60 something I given. Now usually what happens this time I click same working. But this time I am not linking the file. I am importing only one function and using it. Suppose I want to use multiply. Suppose here I am using, instead of addition, what is it? Multiplication. Multiplication. I am using multiplication. And what is the function name? Multiply. I am using the function as what? Multiply. And into that multiply, I am just passing two values, 5, 7. And observe carefully, when I run this now, in the inspect, go to the console, click on addition, it says multiply is not there. Why? Because we are not importing multiply now. We are importing only addition from this file. Earlier multiply is available. Now we have to import. What to import? Multiply. Then when I import multiply, now it works. Now you don't need to import this addition because you are not using this addition. This approach is called modular. This approach is called modular. This is how we use JavaScript in real world. That means, as I already told you, we don't use directly JavaScript, but this is the module system, how we use the libraries. So in React, in Angular, everywhere JavaScript is like this. We have to use in module system. So what is the concept here is module systems, why you need them? What is the concept of modular? What is the necessity of modular? That means here so many things will be there. A clean separation, reusability, easy extensibility, and lightweight, faster in communication. Why lightweight? Because it loads only what is needed, right? So technically, what is that? So actually, application development requires language, library, and framework. Just one simple point I will give here. Language and library can build application, but cannot control application flow. Application flow. Framework can control application flow. Can control application flow. So you will learn so many such things later. We will learn about framework when we learn about Express.js and all. So languages, libraries, and framework. So library is a set of factories. And factory is a set of values and functions. Library is a set of factories and factory is a set of values and functions. Actually, value, function into factory, factory into service, service into application. Later you will understand what is difference again between factory and services later. So a library can be implemented using two techniques. One is legacy and modular. A legacy library imports everything into memory but uses only few. It leads to memory overload and application is heavy. A modular library imports only the required content for the state and situation. A modular library imports only the required content for state and situation. it makes the library, it makes the application lightweight. It makes the application lightweight. Actually, all the software technologies earlier were legacy type. According to the modern generation, they transformed themselves into modular. Because when we were training people on .NET and other technologies 10 years back, .NET was legacy. After that, it became modular. Java was legacy. After that, it became modular. Right? That means 15, 20 years back, people who learned all these technologies, they were facing legacy issues. Right? From past 10, 12 years, these all technologies started building their own modular libraries. Even Java, .NET also not modular in the beginning. They are all what? Legacy type. The modular approach started later. Recent means past 10 years onwards, you will see this modular approach very popular. Right? Technologies started using modular approach. Now, JavaScript need to be used with this modular approach in Node.js. So Node.js will not use JavaScript as legacy. It will use JavaScript as what? Modular. And to handle this modular approach, you need a module system. Interpreter is not enough. You need separate module system. So to JavaScript uses various module systems. JavaScript uses various module systems. Like it uses various module system like CommonJS, like UMD, Universal Module Distribution, like AMD. AMD is asynchronous module distribution. UMD, AMD, like JavaScript module system. JavaScript module actually people call ES module system. These are different types of module systems we are having. CommonJS, UMD, AMD, ES module system. These are all different module systems. Now, which module system Node.js is using? So it is using CommonJS. Now here we will learn how the module system works. Means we will write some functions in one file, some other functions in another file, and we import only what is needed and we use only those. How module system works in Node, we have to understand that. And which module system is used by Node.js? CommonJS. So the default module system of Node.js is CommonJS. It uses JavaScript V8 compiler. We have so many JavaScript compilers like Babel and all, and it uses JavaScript V8 compiler. By using that, it will compile. Now let's see how this module system works in a project. That means how to use this CommonJS module system in Node.js. That we will see in tomorrow's session. Right? Remember, these are all JavaScript topics. But better to know these topics in Node.js. When you mention about I know JavaScript, you will say that I know module systems, I know all these concepts. These are all under JavaScript only. But it is not necessary to learn them in the front end. But if you learned in the front end, it is good. While working with JavaScript, OOP concepts will teach you. In the back end, you will learn then here you will implement in a project, we will implement both front end as well as back end, right? Later when you learn React Angular, there you will use this module systems front end. You will learn how to use them in the front end. Okay. Then tomorrow we will see how to use this common JS, how to use the module system in a project and build application. Okay. Tomorrow we'll continue.